I was missing that stick or I was on that tight end of rope.
Mr. Cook.
My bachelor's degree is in psychology. My master's work is in public administration. I've also taught severely emotionally disturbed children with the Salvation Army program. And presently, I teach Aikido to 5 to 9-year-olds here at the main dojo.
Okay, and Ms. Matsumoto, sorry, I knew I was going to get one wrong.
That's okay. I'm a preschool teacher. I have an Associate of Science degree in that, but I'm running as a citizen of Hawaii. I think that the citizens and the parents need to be represented by the board, not necessarily teachers.
Okay. Mr. Almodovar, I'll start with you on this one, and again, I'll try to get each of you in. A viewer would like to know, what do you plan to do specifically about the drug problem in our schools?
We got to clean up. We got to work together with the board, whoever wants education. I guess we got to work together with any kind of authority, and we got to clear it up. You can't just, what am I going to do about it? And I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to start arresting people. We're not solving any problems. I guess it's an open-ended answer. I have to do more research on it too. But all I can say is that we got to work together as a team, whoever we're working with, whoever cares, and come up with some kind of possible solution that will at least minimize the drug use in school.
Mr. Brader?
I served on the Hawaii State Teachers Association Drug Task Force long before the DOE ever got involved in it. And 1 year, I worked with 20 drug addicts in the public schools, and so I know what some of the problems are. And as working with them, I found out the best way to do it is to get to the parents. And that's how I approached it, because the DOE had no program at that time. So I would call the parents. Sometimes I would even take the kids myself on Saturdays or after school to the doctor, so that the doctor could evaluate and talk to them. I didn't get myself involved with the police because I didn't think that was my job. My job was to get the kids off of the drug, and I did it by getting them to the doctor and getting the family to take over.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Matsuda.
As a board member, I serve on the discipline committee, which came up with a Chapter 19, which reports a lot of the drug, the A and B offenses, which is part of the drug abuse. We've supported, as a board member, the Just Say No program, the communications with the different agencies to promote the prevention of drug abuse.
Okay, and if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to address to the candidates tonight, a generic question, generic comment, please give us a call. Mr. Cook, same question. What would you do about the drug problem?
I've been very active in the drug problem in Hawaii since 1970, when I began work in the Waikiki Drug Clinic, served on the board of the Drug Addiction Services of Hawaii in the past few years. Education, motivation is the only answers to the drug problem today.
Okay, Ms. Matsumoto?
I think implementing a good character education program in the early years, which stresses the consequences of behavior and resisting peer pressure. And also, I believe that bringing the excellence back to education and increasing their skills, their reading skills, their math skills, will give them a motivation to be excellent in their behavior and set goals for their future.
Finally, Mr. Shorba.
Well, the drug problem, I believe, can be solved through a cooperative effort with the community, the police authorities, the parents, the school, and all organizations in the community. It's a cooperative effort. It's a community problem. It should be solved through the community, and the best way is through education and showing them what the results of drugs are, and that probably will help motivate them.
Okay. Maybe this is not the question to be asking 6 people who are running for office, but a viewer would like to know, and it is an interesting question. I'll start where we began. Mr. Cook, do you think that the Board of Education members should be elected, or should they be appointed as they were not that many years ago?
I'm in favor of the elective system.
Why?
The reason I'm in favor of it is that you have more people involved in the education system. You have people who, more often than not, have children and the like in the system who want to see a change, enough to get out there and do something.
Mr. Matsuda.
I am for the elected board. I ran for an elected board, and I'm serving on an elected board. And I think it's the people's right to have representation. So an elected board would give the people the right in the education of their children.
Mr. Shorba.
I also am in favor of the elective board, mainly because it gives me the opportunity to run.
Okay. Ms. Matsumoto.
I'm in favor of an elected board. The Board of Education is supposed to be the voice for the parents, the link between the Department of Education and the public. And the only way to accomplish this is to have complete representation through voting.
Okay. Mr. Breda?
Well, the schools belong to the people, and I would hate to turn it over to the politicians to make appointments. And I think if you go back 200 years ago when America invented public schools, you'll find out that it was through the town meeting and through the school committees. And I've always supported the elected board. My father served on an elected board, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and I hope I will be able to.
Mr. Almodovar.
The appointed board sounds good, but then again, like everyone says, let the people decide. I think an elected board.
Okay, so you're unanimous. None of you would go back to the appointed board. Okay, I guess I shouldn't really be surprised. We have just about 4 minutes left, so if you could keep your answers brief. If one of you is elected, one of you will be elected, you're going to be working a lot with a guy named Charles Toguchi. You've probably heard of him. He's the school's school superintendent. Where have I started? Mr. Braid, I'll start with you. What kind of a job do you think Mr. Toguchi has been doing below these 2 years?
It's not fair to ask me that question because he's an old friend of mine, and I've worked with him before in the teachers' union, and I know that he's a man of a high caliber with integrity, honest. I know he's a hard worker. I know he's an innovator, and I know that I can work with him.
Mr. Almodovar?
I think he's doing an excellent job. I think we, as whoever's elected on the board, if we just let him go and express his ideas also, instead of trying to control him and telling him what to do, I think he'll continue doing what he's doing, which is fine.
Okay. Mr. Shorba?
Well, since I ran against Charlie in the election for the House of Representatives, he and I were old friends from way back, and I think I can work with him.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Matsumoto?
I think that Charles Toguchi is doing the best job that that can be done by the superintendent with the board that exists right now. I think that I could communicate well to Mr. Toguchi, and I think that I could work well with him.
Okay. Mr. Cook?
I believe that Mr. Toguchi is doing the best job possible with what he has to work with this time. And I feel that new blood on the board will maybe make that a little bit better.
Mr. Toguchi, you're getting a vote of confidence here tonight. Mr. Matsuda?
I voted for the Superintendent Toguchi. I work with him, and I can continue to work with him.
Okay. Again, we only have a couple of minutes left. I hope we can get around the table. AIDS. People want to know about AIDS. Mr. Cook, what would AIDS education in school, how do you feel about it? Should be an explicit get to the heart of the problem or not?
Everyone I've talked to about AIDS has been very explicit about getting the education out there. It's not worth people dying over not knowing what's going on.
Mr. Shorba? Explicit education in the schools?
Explicit? Not so far as handing out condoms in the school. I don't believe it should be that explicit.
Mr. Breda?
Well, last year I sat through 2 sessions of the AIDS program in my classroom, and I thought it was a good program, and I hope that it will be continued, only I would like to see it put into the health program rather than in the English programs, because the reading in the English language has to have more emphasis and to always be dipping into the English, because that's where all the kids are for programs, is not a good idea.
Okay. Mr. Almodovar?
Yeah, AIDS education is a definite must, but we must not forget about all these other diseases that we're still trying to fight and trying to cure.
But explicit AIDS education?
I think brought up within the health program. Not necessarily explicit, like you said, passing out condoms and
But,
doing
I mean,
preventive-
frank talk.
Sure.
Ms. Matsumoto, sorry. They'll know, by the end of the evening, they will know that your name is Matsumoto.
I'm for teaching about the AIDS problem in our society. I think that there needs to be more abstinence stressed in the program, and I think they need to take a closer look at the curriculum that they have now. Many of the things that are taught in there are obsolete already, and they need to take a closer look at that and make sure that they're not giving the students a false hope or false assurance that they can't get AIDS.
Okay, and finally, Mr. Matsumoto. Matsuda. Matsuda, sorry.
That's okay. Well, I have supported the AIDS education. Explicit AIDS education is a must. It is a very crucial one. As a student affairs chairman, I advocated for the AIDS education, and I saw the necessity of educating all our kids. And because it's a life and death matter, explicit education is a must.
Okay, I'd like to thank the six of you. Your time is up. It's time for our first break. When we come back, we'll have the candidates from the Leeward Oahu district.
A world of ideas is coming to your television set this fall. Join Bill Moyers as he talks with novelist Joseph Heller on what Socrates would think of our democracy today. With historian Barbara Tuchman on what it takes to be a hero. With Ann Wortham about the other side of racism. And with filmmaker David Putnam on the power of cinema to bring out the best in us all. Physicist Steven Weinberg explores the limits of science in describing how the universe began. And environmentalist Jessica Matthews explains the limits of technology as our overburdened planet strikes back. These and other thoughtful men and women discuss the ideas and values that are shaping America's future. Explore a world of ideas with Bill Moyers.
See the fascinating series, Bill Moyers' World of Ideas. Weeknights at 11 on Hawaii Public Television.
You know, running for president is a hazardous business, ain't it? Did you know statistics show that only one man can be president? Did you know that? I ain't gonna knock no president of the United States because it is one hell of a job. Boy, I mean, you've got to please everybody. Well, no, not everybody, but enough to get reelected, and it is one hell of a job. There is no way in this world you're gonna make a political party respectable unless you keep it out of office. No way in this world.
Tune in Monday at 8.
Welcome back to Dialogue. The people you are looking at right now are answering the phones. They are members of the University of Hawaii JCs, and I thank them for giving us their time tonight to make this program possible. Next, we'll be talking with 4 Board of Education candidates in the Leeward Oahu District, and they are Mike Kahikina, Arlene Alejado, Kermit Brown, and Thomas Cam. There is another candidate in the district, Ronald Nakano. He did not respond to our invitation to appear here tonight. I'm going to go back to a question, a viewer question that I asked the earlier 6 candidates, and I'll ask you to answer each in turn, starting with you, Mr. Kahikina. Viewer would like to know your background and experience to run for the Board of Education.
My background is I ran alternative high school programs with Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center from 1979 to 2 years ago. And I also was outreach counselor with Waianae Rap Center. But the bottom line is that I believe that I'm the heartbeat of America, that we need, this is time that we need a change, that we need to coordinate our brain and our heart together to make more better decisions for our children.
Okay. Ms. Alejado, sorry.
In the past 2 years, I've worked lobbying the Board of Education and the Department of Education and also at the legislature. And in the past 2 years, I found that as parents, we need to be involved and we need to make our concerns known to the Board of Education.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
Okay, I'm a retired school teacher administrator for about 28 years, 26 as a teacher and 2 years as a administrator. And I feel that right now I'm presently a businessman. I'm the owner of Kermit Brown's Driving School, and also...
We'll charge you for that commercial later. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. And also other businesses that I have. And I feel that I can contribute to my experiences to the education of the youth of Hawaii.
And Mr. Camp?
I'm an affiliate assistant professor of accounting and finance, and I'm also a teacher of accounting in the adult education program. I'm also a student in the doctorate program of educational administration, and I'm a person who is very actively involved in the community. I'm chairman of the Pearl City Neighborhood Board. So I think I bring a varied background to the board.
Okay, we'll just stick with you. And I'll ask you again a question that the viewers have put to the other six. Want to know if you have any children in public school right now, or did have children in public schools here?
I am a product of the public schools, and all my brothers